Hello and good morning, everyone. It is September 29th. That means it's the last day of September that I'm going to be coming to you. It's fun being with you guys here today. Always enjoy doing my little podcast here and spend a little bit of time with you. I want to ask you a question before I even get started today. As we're getting into the fall and we're getting into the harvest season, I'm talking a lot about food and how to prepare food, how to fix food, how to keep your family happy with food. I like when you're talking about food. So I want to ask you, what tricks do you use to get your kids to eat healthy? Drop me a comment. Let me know, what tricks are you using to get your kids to eat healthy meals? That's a big problem with people. I know a lot of friends of mine that have kids that are picky eaters, finicky eaters, so forth and so on. And I'm curious, are there any tricks that you use to help your kids eat well? Now, I got to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of, having kids only eat pizza and chicken nuggets. I'm not a huge fan of that. From the very beginning with my boys, I always make sure to incorporate lots of different types of food. Now, it's true, it's just the way things are. They take McDonald's over steak and vegetables any day of the week. And you're the exact same way. The thing that you have to realize, the simple fact of the matter is, there are scientists that have spent the last 100 years crafting these kinds of processed foods to be delicious. They've got everything in them that humans just love. We are addicted to it in a lot of ways. So you shouldn't be shocked when, you find out that your kids aren't really big on eating good, healthy foods, whole foods, foods that are good for you. Because, those engineered scientific foods, they're made to be addicting. They're made to be delicious. Of course, it seems like the most common ones are probably things like hot dogs, hamburgers. See, now that gets me into a really interesting discussion, a really interesting topic that I want to delve into, because I hear from tons and tons of people all the time that, especially like the plant-based people, the vegetarians, the vegans, and all those kinds of stuff, they're always looking for what they refer to as healthy alternatives to meat. And they're looking for things like lentils and tofu and stuff like that. And they're always saying, well, this is a healthy alternative to meat because, as you know, chicken nuggets aren't healthy, which that kind of thing kind of drives me nuts. Same thing, they'll say the same thing with hamburgers aren't healthy. Now, when we're talking about a hamburger, most people have this little itty bitty little patty of ground beef, and then they've got like tons of bread and ketchup and mustard, and then if they're eating healthy, a healthy version of a hamburger, they've got lettuce, tomato, onions, and pickles, all this kind. A healthy version of a hamburger is all these. It's got vegetables, it's got grains, it's got all this kind of stuff. I think out of a good healthy hamburger, I think the worst thing in that is the bread itself. Bread isn't good for you. So I always think it's weird when you get into these discussions of finding like a healthy alternatives to hamburgers, because a hamburger's pretty daggone healthy. I don't really understand, but what happens, I think, is it gets conflated with like a McDonald's hamburger, and a McDonald's hamburger is it's this little teeny tiny itty bitty patty. It's almost nothing. And who knows what it's actually made out of. There's always, I don't know if any of this stuff is true. I'm not a food scientist, so full disclaimer on that. But there's always those stories that, that you hear when you're growing up, that it's really made out of sawdust, or that half of it is really soy, or there's filler in it. There's all this kind of stuff. I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure I'm guessing there's some kind of a legal requirement that they actually have their hamburger made out of beef. I don't know. They do advertise. I remember that they started advertising all beef patties, and I always heard that was the reason that they would say all beef patties is because of all those kinds of rumors that would go get circulating out there that they weren't really made out of beef. Anyways, I don't know. I never know about that. But I do know that if I fix hamburgers at home, I get good high quality ground beef. And I like to get ground beef that is grass-fed, And I take that and I get lettuce, tomato, onions, pickles, all the vegetables. I put them on there. And I don't use bun. The kids use bun. That's fine. I mean, you take all of that stuff together and you've got a healthy option. So I don't understand this kind of bizarre idea that we need a healthy alternative to hamburgers. Hamburgers always use this example. Another example that they use as unhealthy meat is chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets are barely meat. Like they get this little tiny bit of ground chicken, and then they add in all this filler, and they add in all this breadcrumbs, and then they add in like all of these preservatives, and they add in all this kind of stuff, and then they deep fry it. And they usually deep fry it in seed oils. Like it's not even like seed oils, in case you don't know, seed oils are the unhealthiest kinds of fat. So whenever you're talking about fats, because they're made from chemicals, like there's a chemical process that makes them. I mean, there's different ways to get fat. You can get beef tallow. There's certain kinds of vegetables, like you can get oils out of, like coconut oil, olive oil, stuff like that. And then there's the seed oils and some of the vegetable oils that are very, very unhealthy. And so you take, this chicken nugget and this little teeny tiny bit of chicken, and you bread it up and add all these fillers and then boil it in seed oil, and then you blame meat for it being unhealthy. Like the meat in that chicken nugget is the healthiest part. Like that's the best part of that chicken nugget. So I've always been really confused as to why that gets all this blame, and why, the people who are, like plant-based, vegetarians, vegan, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to eat that way, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. It's just weird that they use that as an example. Again, I'm a big whole food type person, so I would, like, instead of chicken nuggets, eat a chicken breast. Like that's way better for you. Or chicken thighs. Chicken thighs are great. They're healthy. So, and then I have found that the easiest trick with kids, when it comes to kids, to get them to eat stuff like that, a little bit of seasoning, but to cook it so that it's as soft as possible. So that's always my big thing. Try to bake it low and slow, or put it in a crock pot, something like that. If you take like chicken thighs and you bake them in an oven, about 300 degrees for hour and a half, something like that, you can look it up. They come out really soft, and they're good, and they're delicious. And kids will usually eat those kind of stuff. You don't need a whole lot of seasoning. There's all kinds of seasonings that you can get that are specialty for chicken. And then you could just use the salt, thyme, to experiment with it, rosemary. There's all kinds of like just regular old seasonings you can do. And then just throw in some vegetables. Again, salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of butter to add some seasoning, to add a little bit of flavor. And you're done. And like my kids, as long as you get them used to that kind of stuff, they'll eat it really well. Yeah, they still love the chicken nuggets. And if they had a choice, they'd take the chicken nuggets over the chicken breast or the chicken thighs any day. But when you do things like that, when you get them used to eating all these different kinds of foods, it's good and healthy for you. And then, focus on these kinds of healthy, like as simple, as small ingredients as possible. That's, again, I don't understand like this kind of obsession with hamburgers or steak and potatoes are bad for you because it's got meat. It's like the meat is not the bad part. Like the meat's really good. Now, that's another one. You talk about like steak. Like steak's probably the healthiest thing that you could eat. Like steaks are very good for you, especially grass-fed steaks. Like good quality, high-quality grass-fed steaks got all kinds of omega-3 fatty acids and all kinds of healthy things like that. But you'd be hard-pressed to get your kids to eat that kind of stuff. So when people talk about like, I got to get my kids to eat healthier, and then they always get into this weird discussion about vegetarian options, or trying to get them to eat I got to get them to eat healthier. I have them eat vegetarian chicken nuggets. Like that's not healthier. That's way worse than like a whole food kind of a thing. Or I got to get my kids to eat healthier. I'll get them to eat a plant-based hamburger. That's way worse. Like get a high-quality hamburger and get rid of the bun, and you're way better off. Like you're way healthier. So anyways, that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. I want to encourage you to stay healthy, and I want to encourage you to find whole food solutions. Encourage your kids to expand their palate, try different things. I get it. Everybody they're going to like pizza a lot more than they're going to like steak and broccoli, or chicken breast and broccoli and rice. Yeah, that's, we're the same way. But put that kind of stuff on there. Give them options like that. Bake food so that it's soft. Cook it low and slow. The softer it is, the easier it is to get them to eat, and use some good seasonings. And that's really all you need. Keep it simple. And then throw in those little treaty foods every now and then. What I usually tell my kids is anything that's not healthy for them, like chicken nuggets or McDonald's or something like that, I just tell them it's a sometimes food. It's not good, it's not bad, but we don't want to eat it all the time. We want to stick with whole, healthy foods. Hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. Be sure to drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. What kind of tricks do you use to get your kids to eat healthier? Have you ever thought about some of the things that I mentioned today that, hamburgers, chicken, all that kind of stuff? None of that stuff's bad for you. It's all really healthy. It all comes down to, minimum ingredients and being focused on whole foods. And I think that you'll find that's way more beneficial to you than trying to do some kind of weird plant-based thing. So that's my personal opinion, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And until next time, bye-bye for now.